Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangl.
Well, welcome to episode number 33 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joseph Sangl, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Megan Hibbard. How are you doing today, Megan?
I'm good. I think I'm doing better than you.
Yeah, that's
I hear
awesome.
You're under the weather.
I am under the weather. This is the under the weather edition. Hopefully your finances and all of our listeners' finances are not under the weather, but we can draw an analogy to that. We've had times where our finances have been under the weather, but we're going to talk about something very exciting that nearly every single listener is going to be interested in today. Yes. Tell everybody what our topic is.
All right. Our featured question for today, we're talking about car payments. So our featured question is, how can people get out of the mindset that they will always have a car payment?
Oh, that is a big mindset. Always have a car payment. Have you ever said that? Always have a car payment, so might as well drive a nice car. And, I saw my dad do this. He had a new car every 3-4 years, all the time. And so I grew up thinking that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And we're going to help people never have a car payment again.
That's right.
Do you have car payments?
Nope.
Do I have car payments?
No.
All right, that's 2 people don't have car payments. We're going to help you, the listener, never have another one. Yep. You will not want to miss this one.
Perfect. Well, it's your favorite time.
Yes, let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
The current event segment is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. On our website, iwbnin.com, there are more than 100 free financial tools that can help you take control of your finances and move towards a fully funded life. Yes, the tools are really free. Start with our most popular tool, the budget templates. Simply click and visit iwasbrokenowimnot.com and under the tools section to start gaining control of your money today.
That's right. And, I love the current money events section. I loved it so much. It's so good. Singing is my backup career, by the way. But the budget templates are awesome. Been downloaded more than 1 million times. Yeah. You should download yours. Get started today. Love that we're sponsored by ourselves. So that's great. Today's topic is focused on the stock market. And perhaps you've heard that the stock market has been a little more volatile than normal. That's okay. Maybe it's been a lot more than volatile. It's not an unusual thing. Even Samuel Langhorne Clemens. Do you remember who that was?
No.
He's also known as Mark Twain.
No.
That's your useless trivia of the day. He experienced those same challenges. In fact, Mark Twain, way back in the day, said, October, this is one of the peculiarly dangerous months to speculate in stocks. The others are July, January, September, April, November, May, March, June, December, August, and February.
That's right.
Isn't that awesome? In others, he's saying you will not find a time where it's not a volatile time to invest in the stock market. And we like to update our listeners on the stock market. Perhaps you're an investor and you're one of those people that just kind of throws the envelopes, kind of in the corner for retirement account, that sort of thing. Maybe you pay attention to it daily and you trade stocks. But perhaps you're like others and you're not investing at all and you're preparing to. We want to make each one of you make sure you're very aware of what's happening with the stock market. And so the Dow Jones Industrial Average, as the time that we're here, is at 25,098. About 25,098. You don't change.
0.55.
0.55, that's right. NASDAQ is at 7329.07. And the S&P 500 is at 2714.68. Now, the S&P 500, so everybody knows, is a collection of 500 companies that represent America, United States, and S&P stands for Standard & Poor's, okay? And so it's the top 500 companies, and it kind of is a real good measure of progress of America's companies. And then the Russell 2000 is 2,000 companies, and it's at 1512.97. One of the things that a lot of people do is say, I don't want to invest because it's risky. Have you ever heard people say that?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are nervous about risk. They don't like risk. They're absolutely conservative. They're savers. But one of the things I think is interesting is that inflation is eroding people's ability to buy stuff. So you have to take some risk because there's a guaranteed risk that is inflation.
Right.
And so when you look at the average return of the stock market, there's a good website. We're going to provide a link in the show notes. That from January 1st to 1941, right? That's the start of the the world war, basically, for us. By December that year, we were in the war. To December 31st, the end of 2018, last year, the S&P 500 returns, the average return per year, 12.58% per year.
That's awesome.
Get fired up.
Yeah.
Now, it's a not exact measure. A more exact measure is something called CAGR, C-A-G-R, compound annual growth rate. And that is a real measure of what happens on an annualized basis. And that is about 11.18%.
Not
so
bad.
11.18%, 12.58%. Would you choose either of those two?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so here's what I want to tell everybody in this current money events section is investing in the stock market's always exciting, it's always entertaining, it's always energizing, the 3 E's. It's exciting, entertaining, and energizing, but it will always have its share of peril, fear, and foreboding. And so long term, it's a great ox to grow your money using what we call method number 2, income production methods. Method number 1 is where you work for your money. Method 2 is where your money works for you. We teach about that in my book, Oxen. So if you want to learn more about Oxen, you want to learn more about investing, be sure to pick up a copy of my book, Oxen, The Key to an Abundant Harvest, at iwbnin.com, or you can pick it up at your neighborhood Amazon.com store.
Yeah, that's
Get
awesome.
fired up.
And I think it's important to note when you're investing, you're not using that money now. It's money that you are potentially using in 5+ years. So
Yes.
for me, I have to not look at it every day because of that. It goes so much up and down that I just can't handle it. But
It'll about drive you crazy.
yeah. So I think that's super interesting. Something to remember. If you're going to use it in 5 years, put it in savings. If you're not, put it in investing. Leave it there. Every time the stock market drops, don't freak out. Right?
Excellent wisdom.
Excellent time to buy. That's what you always say when it drops.
It's on sale.
Buy. All right, perfect. Our success story today comes from Diane. And Diane said, "Hi, Joe. I just want to say that when I started doing the budget sheets about 7 or 8 years ago, I could not even explain how much we owed. Our side debt alone was going to take 9 years to pay off. Our net worth was only $50,000, and this was after paying into the mortgage for 25 years. Today, our debts are nearly paid off, including our mortgage. Wow. And our net worth is about $1 million. I was hanging onto the scripture that says, the plans of a diligent lead to profit. I just want to say thank you."
Who's that
Great.
from?
From Diane.
From Diane. First off, way to go, Diane. The plans of the diligent lead to profit is a true statement straight from the Bible in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 5. It is a life-transforming verse for me, and it's always exciting to see someone else get it. And Diane did the hard work, and that's diligence. Diligence is very closely related to this other word called discipline. And those two words, they run together. And when you get those working together in your life and you get them working with your finances, you will have a success story too. And thanks, Diane, for sharing that story with us. And we want to hear our listeners' success stories as you apply diligence and discipline and yield that profit. So make sure you send those in to us. We always love to be able to feature success stories and celebrate with you.
Perfect. All right. So just to remind you guys of our featured question for today, we're talking about car payments. So the question today is, many people have always had a car payment and believe that they always will have one. How can people get out of the mindset and never have a car payment again?
That's a great question, and it is absolutely possible. And so how to never, ever have another car payment again. Get ready. Get buckled up. You might be driving that beautiful car with payments right now. And you like your car, you just don't like the payments.
That's right.
Some of you don't like the car and you don't like the payments. That's a
lose-lose.
Terrible lose-lose. And others are driving your paid-off car and you're driving it a long time and you don't have money saved for the next car. So we're going to help you get prepared to make sure that you never, ever have another car payment again. And so the first thing that I would tell every single person who never wants a car payment again is to make a decision. Make the decision. You have to make the decision that you're never going to have a car payment. Megan, have you and Jordan made a decision to never have a car payment again?
We have.
How'd that conversation go?
Well, we're both kind of the same mentality before we got married. And so neither one of us had car payments before we got married. And so that was just kind of the way we wanted to carry into our marriage. And we talked about it. And both of our cars have actually been replaced since. So we've been married almost 3.5 years. October will be 4 years. And we've had to replace both of our cars. So we bought a Honda Accord with cash, and then we bought Toyota 4Runner. So when we knew we were going to have a baby, we wanted a bigger car. And so we knew we're not having a car payment, so we have to start saving, put money aside, started, a fund for that. And once we had the money, then we started looking.
It's awesome.
So
this is really good lessons, and we're going to apply several things that Megan just said that she and Jordan have applied. I've applied them in my own life as well. And the first thing is making this decision. It starts with a decision. There was a decision made. I've made this decision. Megan and Jordan made this decision. Me and Jenna made this decision. Many people made the decision, but the idea of never having a car payment, you don't wander into that.
Right.
It happens with a decision. There's two decisions, really. The first one is I'm never going to finance a car again, ever. And number two, you're probably going to have to make the decision to drive the current vehicle you have longer than you've drove other cars in the past.
Yeah.
You got to drive it a little longer. And that is not so much fun because your car is going to get worn out. It's going to have funky car smell, and it's going to need maintenance that maybe you haven't had to do in other cars in the past. But you have to make a decision. And the second step you have to do is to begin saving money. You have to begin saving money. It turns out that, cars aren't always given to you for free. Did you know that?
I did.
It's amazing. And that whether you're buying a used car or a new car, they all want currency, and they want it to have a current. The money flows from you to them. And so you need to save in two categories, really. One is you need to save for maintenance or repair of your existing vehicles because you're going to have to keep them longer. It means more repairs, more maintenance, and you need to save for your future vehicles. I really encourage you to check out our known upcoming non-monthly expenses calculator so that you can calculate how much money you need to save each year towards that new car. And I've made saving for a new car part of our monthly savings.
Us too.
And when you just build that in your budget, you view it as a bill or an obligation you owe yourself. And the game that I like to play is, okay, we've saved up this much money. Can we get the car we want for less than that? Because then, I feel like I won. I've got money left over. So you got to begin saving money. So make a decision that you're not going to have a car payment again. Then begin saving money. Do you have any tips you could add to that on that saving money side?
Yeah, I would recommend not going to the dealership unless you have the money.
Ooh.
Because if you go to the dealership, you're going to find, like, say you're buying a used car, you find the car that you love, the miles that you want. They say it's here now, you can buy it, and it's so tempting to just go ahead and buy it, finance it, or go into debt for it because, this is the car that we're looking for, and it's not that expensive, and we don't have the money, but we will. And so I would just wait.
They spend tens of millions of dollars a year, these dealership groups, to figure out how to get people to buy when they're not ready to buy.
Yeah.
They speak to every single thing and weakness of the human spirit. And they appeal to everything of pride, of I want it right now. You don't have to have the money. Think about how cheap this is.
Yeah.
And then they'll play on the security side. Think about how much safer this will be. You won't have to worry about being broken down the side of the road. I mean, they play they know how to play people. And they pick up on that. And they've trained their people to do that. So that's a great idea, is don't go to the dealership until you're ready.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing research. So my husband is the best at doing research. So he knew exactly what car we wanted when we bought the 4Runner. He knew the year range we were looking for, the miles we were looking for. So when we actually were ready to buy and we went, we knew, and we didn't have to say like, oh, maybe this would work, maybe this wouldn't, because we had done our research. But difference between research and buying.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And the research, do you have any idea how he did that? Did he do consumer reports? What was he doing? Friends? How did he figure out what the best one was?
Yep. So, we both kind of always wanted a 4Runner. So specifically, that's the last car we bought. And so he did a lot of research on the 4Runners, making sure, obviously, because we're going to have our kid in it, we want it to be safe. So making sure it was safe, making sure, like, looking at miles on the interstate versus, in town, that kind of stuff. And then we have a friend that owns a car dealership. So talking to him and, just different people, getting wisdom from people that have 4Runners or, people that have other SUVs, seeing how they like their SUVs. So it's a lot of.
You have a friend who owns a car dealership.
We do.
That's awesome. Maybe we should have them on the podcast one day.
Yeah,
Talk about all the tricks they use. That'd be awesome.
He's a great guy. Yep.
They're all great people, no doubt about it. But here's what the third thing. So after we've made a decision and we begin saving money, the third thing is to buy a used vehicle. Yep. Now you can buy a new vehicle. That's awesome if it's the equivalent, of a, a brownie or an oatmeal cream pie or something. Go ahead and buy a new car. That's great. That's awesome. But most people, it's a big, giant purchase, second largest purchase in their life behind a house. So buy a used vehicle. So we recommend 3 to 6 year old used vehicle. For example, I bought a 2011 Yukon, bought it in 2018. It was about 7 years old, had 105,000 miles on it. And the original sale price on this car was $44,460. I paid $20,000.
Wow.
So the last vehicle I owned with the same engine went 330,000 miles and was still running when I sold it. We ran out of space. We kept having kids and we needed more space. And so it's been a wonderful purchase. We were able to pay cash for it. And that's been a great, great thing for us. So how old was your Toyota 4Runner, since we've been talking about that today, when you bought it? How old was it?
We bought it in 2018 and it's a 2013.
So it's 5 years old. So it's right in that 5 to 6 year window.
But it only had like 22,000 miles on it.
There you go.
So it was incredible.
So it must have been driven by somebody who just did not drive very
They
often.
just drove around town is what we were told.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you saved a lot of money.
Yes.
And here are some statistics related to depreciation. Cars go down in value. And according to Carfax, Carfax.com, I've got a link to the article in the show notes. The new car will depreciate 10% in the first month of ownership. So they said, if you want to get a feeling, as it says, they said the statement, if you're looking to put a brand new $40,000 car in your driveway, we've got some expert advice. Buy a vehicle with a sticker price closer to $45,000.
Oh, gosh.
That's one way to look at depreciation, because our data shows that cars can lose more than 10% of their value during the first month after you drive off the lot. The amount your car is worth will just keep falling too.
Yeah.
You want another good thing? I like to put handles on this so people can really grasp this, so they really understand this principle of depreciation. If you want to understand how much a car depreciates along that first 3 to 4 years, take a $100 bill, a crisp Ben Franklin, and roll down your window once a month.
Oh, gosh.
And not once a month, sorry, once a week, and throw it out the window.
Wow.
Once a week, $5,200 a year for the first 4 years. Think about that. Car I bought, $45,000 car, bought it for $20,000. That's $25,000 that just went down in value. But most of that depreciation happened in the first 4 years. It's amazing. Think about that. Throw a $100 bill. Hey, listen, y'all. Drive past our office. Please come to Anderson when you're throwing these $100 bills out of the window.
I could use them to buy diapers.
Yes, that would be awesome. That's great. And throw that $100 bill out the window.
Yeah.
And I promise you'll say, hey, I don't like this very much. But it's actually happening to your new car. Sure. So okay, 20% depreciation happens in the first year of ownership on average. And on average, an additional 10% of depreciation will occur in each of the next 4 years of ownership. This means, according to Carfax, the average car will lose approximately half its value in the first 4 years.
Man.
Things that make you cry.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. The simple way to look at this, if you have a car that you're paying payments on right now, is let's apply these principles I've taught today. Make a decision to never have a car payment again. Start there. Pay off your car. You like your car, pay it off, and keep driving it. And then continue paying the payment. You paid it off, but how do you keep paying the payment? Pay it to yourself into a new car fund. In fact, if you pay yourself the payment for the next 4 years, let's say you had a $450 a month payment, and you did that for 4 years without interest, that'd be $21,600. Pretty good.
Awesome.
That would buy the car I just bought, 5.3 V8 GMC Yukon, loaded out, Bose sound system,
The sound system is
entertainment
very loud.
system, leather. Yeah, people went
We
on
can
a ride.
vouch for that.
And the kids love it. It's really good. It's like flying in a 777 overseas. It's amazing. And watch this. at current interest rates, which we keep linked where?
On our website.
On our website, iwbnin.com. Click on Next Steps Banking. Right now, the best interest rate being paid is 2.25% on savings. If you got that 2.25% on that $450 a month, you would actually make about $1,000 in interest during that time period. $22,580 is how much you would finish with. And if you pay cash for your next car, you pay $22,580, for example, determine to drive it for 8 years. Save $450 a month for the next 8 years and invest it because it's outside the 5-year window. And after 8 years, it will be worth $68,789 if you keep it invested the entire time.
There you go.
That'll buy another car. And you will achieve what we have taught in this episode to never have a car payment again. The helpful tool or app is what?
Our helpful tool or app is a tool this time, and it is the monthly investment calculator.
And where's it located?
It is also located on our website under tools.
That's right. It's under tools, under investing. Very conveniently. And you should really use this tool. It's so much fun to really see the potential what ifs.
Right.
And it helps you understand a vision for what your future could look like. You know, I have this daughter who's in college right now, and we put $100 a month into her college fund starting at age 4, bumped it up about 14 months later to $200 a month. It was worth nearly $100,000 when she went off to college. And let me tell you something, over half of that money was free money. Money that my money went and earned. That is when you experience the power of money, the power of compound interest, the power of investing, the power of diligence, the power of discipline. That same set of principles applies to ensure that you never have a car payment again. And cars drive very differently when you have no payments. You can think about this. When you have a car payment and you have to replace the tires too, that's horrible.
It's like a double whammy.
Especially if you have a Yukon. I mean, good grief, the tires on an SUV is just ridiculous.
They are ridiculous.
I mean, it's $800 to $1,000.
Yeah.
And if you're paying a payment of $700 a month, that is why people end up in debt.
Right.
That's why people end up in credit cards. It's why they end up saying, I'll always have a car payment. So the key financial quote regarding the topic is this. If you think no one cares if you're alive, try missing a few car payments.
They'll call you.
I thought that was funny. In fact, I like to say this, you know, everybody will know where you are because the repo man cometh and he's knocking down your neighbor's doors, calling your parents, calling your friends, and everything to come find it. So you matter, and I want you to know that you matter without missing the car payments. And you won't ever miss them if you pay cash for the car. Get fired up.
Perfect. All right, so let's do a couple of hot seat questions. Are you ready?
Yes, and I have not seen these, nor have I approved these.
Nor have I approved these. All right, what is one thing you would change about yourself? I haven't seen these either. So
What is one thing I would change about myself?
That's what the question says.
I would play in the NBA.
So you'd probably be taller.
No, Steph Curry's as tall as me.
Oh.
Only he can hit from 70 feet away.
But if you could change one thing, you could make yourself taller, and then
I'd be from
able to dunk.
Davidson, North Carolina, and shoot the rock like Steph Curry.
There you go.
And I'm very close. Very close. Several teams have invited me to their camps.
All right. What is
They said they're in need of a 44-year-old NBA player, rookie, who played through his freshman year of high school.
We should get a basketball court in the parking lot.
Have it in the office. What are you talking about?
Where?
I don't know.
Our office is currently running out of space.
The new office we build.
We need a bigger office. All right. What is your biggest fear? I have a couple of these.
What was my biggest fear? Well, then let's ask you the question. What's your biggest fear?
One of mine is being buried alive.
Yeah, that's horrible.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying.
One of them is drowning. Like, specifically drowning in, like, a car accident. I'm not quite sure why.
Drowning.
Well,
not drowning.
Drowning. It's my accent. Back off. But I think that one is because I worked at Jaws of Life for a while, so they make rescue tools that cut people out of cars. And so I saw a lot of really bad accidents.
Lord Jesus.
And so I think I have that in my head.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, biggest fear, you know, you have all the obvious ones, so I'm not going to share obvious ones like all that stuff, like
I hate
losing
spiders.
a family member, things like that.
Yeah.
But I would say My biggest fear, that I don't know, thinking about it, like deer hunting, having the biggest buck of my life, like in range and missing. That'd be awful. Of course, I know a lot of our listeners would cheer that, but that's okay. That's the biggest fear. It's kind of weird questions. These are very insightful.
That's really your like biggest fear?
That'd be a terrible event.
I wonder if it speaks to like you want to do well. Like performance.
No, it
because
speaks to
you were one of 6
I need
brothers.
giant deer antlers and lots of meat.
Your wall in your office is running out of space as well. So our office is running out of space, and then your wall is running out of space because you hang all of the antlers up there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. What is a misconception people have about you?
I think this is easier. I like this question better than the other two. Good grief. I'm going to find out who writes these questions. Did you write these questions? Mm-mm. Jess wrote these questions. We're going to throw Jess under the bus. Well, a misconception people have about me. I think one of the big misconceptions that they have about me is that, like, for some reason, a lot of places think that, like, I'm this very refined person. And when they find out that I am a complete outdoors, hunting, fishing, running around in all this red dirt of South Carolina, all over the United States, really, fishing and hunting and all that stuff. And like a lot of people, I think, have a misconception of what wealth is. And for me, the definition of wealth is being able to do whatever you're called to do. The moment that you're called to do it, regardless of the cost of the income potential, we call that a fully funded life. And that's different for every single person. And so I think people see what they view as wealth, their view of it, and they project it on me as a financial teacher. And I remember one person said, well, if wealth requires me to drive that beat-up clunker truck like you got, I'm out, right? And what they didn't see is I was driving that truck, not because I loved that truck, because I had no purpose with another truck. And number two, I was in the period where I was saving up cash to pay money for all the future car payments, so I could totally avoid it. And so I think that that's something really huge is people's view of wealth, their view of finances, their view of success financially. They project that on me, and it just really doesn't always fit their mold. Success for me is not really caring if my socks match.
Which sometimes they don't. That's okay. All right, perfect. Well, our next episode, we're going to do number 2 of this. We did number 1 last month, and I think it was a lot of fun, but we're going to do top money questions.
Oh, awesome.
Yep. So if you have questions you want us to answer, make sure you send those in. We'll be answering them. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be a specific topic. Like last month we did like credit score was one of the ones we did, and we did, I forget what else we did. There was a lot of them. It was rapid fire.
And they're unrelated. So send in your questions. You can send it in to info@iwbnin.com. Who knows? It could be featured on the Monday Money Tip podcast. And if you've implemented one of our tips, please, please, please share your success stories with us. Also by emailing us at info@iwbnin.com. And if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast, get this YouTube cast, right, available to other people. You can do this quickly by rating our podcast, liking the YouTube video, and leaving a review. These ratings and reviews will help us make this podcast better for our listeners and help us achieve our mission of helping people live fully funded lives. We can't wait till next episode number 34, where we answer your top money questions. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.